Welcome back to Show Me What I've Been Missing, your pop culture podcast that says, hey, look at that thing. I'm one of your hosts, Elizabeth Stanton, and with me is our other host,
Chris back. What's up, guys?
and we are watching Sex and the City from start to finish. Chris has never seen it, or never really seen much of an episode of it. I've seen it way too many times. Before I tell you the episode number we're on, our show is at episode 69 today. Nice. So stupid.
Yeah, on my nasty gang, 69 nasty gang. I don't know what I'm saying.
I don't even know. I was like, what are you talking about?
I don't know. You said 69, so I was
Yeah.
like, nasty, somebody fucking with it,
I'm a child, so I was like, 69.
Listen,
Nice.
no, here's the thing. I am too, because I was on set the other day and the PA was like, oh, we don't, because I was like doing background. He's like, oh, we don't need you in this one. He's like, we're already inside you on this shot, so we won't need you. And I was like,
nice.
inside me? You're not gonna take me out first? You don't even know my first name, bro.
You buy me dinner.
Also, he kept saying, I was like, okay, I know this is like film lingo, but I need you to use other words because I'm not mature enough to keep hearing it. Okay, I'm gonna make all the jokes every time you say it. So
I am a child, but that's the important. Stay a child at heart, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, kind of have to
giggle at stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
But we are on season 4, episode 15 of Sex and the City.
Yeah.
Change of address.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is a big one. This is a biggie.
Yeah, baby. Kind of saw it coming. I knew it was getting there. There was a lot of context clues leading up to. I mean, obviously, because I know what happens, in the end, at least with one of these characters. Mm-hmm. However, this was the breaking point. I kind of knew it was going to be the breaking point. There was just too many signs. Like, it's just the build. It was kind of like Charlotte and Trey's situation. Like, the episodes were building to the ultimate.
Yep.
Yeah. Dumbass bitch. Anyway. Sorry, it's allergy season. It's summer, he's a stupid bitch. Oh,
God. Yourself.
Yes, we can start anywhere you like. I'm down. I mean, I know the big one, but like.
Yeah, well, everybody's pretty brief. I think we can start with maybe Charlotte.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, let's go for it.
Charlotte's alone and feeling a little lonely, and she's taking tap dance lessons among many other lessons to like distract herself from the breakup. And she's like, everyone says I need time to grieve, but I don't. I just gotta get to all these things. It's like, girl, it's okay.
Yeah, that is the thing. Is like distraction is great for what I'm saying, like after breakup, because you kind of do need something, but at some point, the distractions aren't going to be enough, and you're gonna come face to face with whatever it is that you're grieving from, whether it's a death in the family, a breakup, or whatever it is, So, yeah, it kind of did that. And it was the weirdest thing that did it, right? Because she's in the class, she's enjoying it, she's loving it. And then it comes to a point where they have to do like a partner move.
Yeah, just like a little partner move, like go down a line.
And it just happened to be like the class had uneven numbers. And so, although, to be fair, the instructor was kind of a dick. Here's why I say that. Because, the class is uneven. Everybody got partnered up and covered up. And he's like, oh, you can do it alone. No, motherfucker, like dance with me. Like if it's a partner move, like you're teaching a class, you know what I'm saying? Because every time I did a dance class in like in art school and shit like that, if you were a partner, at least the teacher would come in and be like, all right, because that's what you're learning. You're learning the partner.
You're learning the partner move. Yeah.
And he's like trying to egg her on like a puppy, like, come on. You can do it.
Well, fun fact, that is the teacher is Broadway legend Andre DeShields, who is like currently most well known for playing Hermes in Hades Town, and I believe he won a Tony in the last couple of years for the role. Super multi-talented, like singer, dancer, actor, Broadway classic, and just like very funny to see him pop up here for 5 seconds as the teacher.
Did not know he was a Broadway royalty.
Yep.
Still a dick though.
Yeah, character wasn't cool, but he's cool dude. That's about it for Charlotte. And she had, she doesn't have the partner, and so that she has a meltdown in the class where she's like, "I deserve a partner."
You know, and even though it was, I mean, everybody was confused and everything like that, but what she's saying wasn't exactly
Yeah.
bad or wrong or like that. Like,
No.
she does deserve a partner. Like, Trey and her clearly didn't work or weren't on the
Yeah.
same page. Like, she wanted a baby. He ultimately kind of didn't. I mean, at least not at the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, she wasn't like, she was ranting, but it wasn't like a random crazy rant. Like, it actually made a lot of sense.
Yeah, it was a lot of things built up, and it was one of those like, well, the argument's not really about the tap dance class, is it?
Right, yeah. And that poor instructor is just like, I'm sorry,
like,
I didn't know that this, this move was gonna be so painful for you. Like, what happened? Did you?
And I do appreciate the comedy of her flipping out, and we're just kind of staring at her, and then she quietly gets her stuff, and you only see her like the reflection of like the classroom mirrors for dance, and then she leaves. Other fun fact, I did tap dance for a hot second when I was like 6.
Come on, tell us about it.
And I was like probably fine, not great at it, but whatever, you're 6. Notable points for that were I was still much shyer as a kid than I am now. And so I didn't really like the idea of doing a full-on recital. I was like, can't I just learn to tap dance and be done with it?
Right, yeah.
Like, and it's like, no, usually classes like build to recital, especially for kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I didn't like wearing makeup. Like, I didn't love like playing with makeup and stuff when I was little. So having to do like the stage makeup for that wasn't fun for me. And those, like, during the dress rehearsal, we were little flappers, little purple flapper dresses, and our song was "Keep Young and Beautiful." And the lyrics were like, "Keep young and beautiful. It's your duty to be beautiful. Keep young and beautiful if you want to be loved." I'm 6 at that point, by the way.
Right. That's why I'm trying to like, was like, who chose this song?
Yeah, I don't know. But during the dress rehearsal, it was really hot. Like, the recital must have been in the summer. And so my mom was like, well, you're just kind of flushed looking, so we'll just say you're wearing makeup and like see and be like, yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. But I remember they lined us up and went down the line, and we're like tapping kids on the head saying you needed more makeup, more makeup, more makeup, which I was like, that's insane to me in hindsight. I also was mad because I was tall, as I am now, but I was tall for a little kid. And I was
like, wait, you said you're 5'10"
I'm 5'10" now.
At 6?
No, but like, I was tall for a kid too.
That would be
crazy. I got stuck in the back, which like does hint at like some like desire to be out front and center, but I was still shy. But it was more just the injustice and unfairness, also because there was one little boy in the class and one like super tiny little girl, and they were both really like adorably tiny, and they got to do their own little solo thing, and I was like, how's that fair? That we're all learning the same stuff here. What gifts? why they get special treatment just because they're little and tiny, which is unfair. I don't care for that. I'm like, that's not cool. Just because I'm tall, I'm not like cute enough to get like my own little solo. That's bullshit. But the long and short of it is, I also straight up brought a book to my own recital, and it was Sideways Stories from Wayside School by the guy who also wrote Holes and stuff.
Nice.
Great, like weird absurdist, excellent reading. Highly recommend. We found the video sometime later of the recital, like at my mom's house. And we put it in, and my brother's like, I can't tell which one you are because you all look like little JonBenet Ramses. What the fuck is this?
I mean, yeah, that stage makeup, especially, I mean, I've seen that before, especially like kids' recitals and stuff like that. And yeah, it's really mannequin-y.
It's really weird on like little kids, because like you don't have like little kids have perfect skin usually, or like generally.
Right.
You don't have to like perfect that skin. So like put like any kind of like base on it is so weird. Because it's like, it is like you said, it's mannequin like.
Yeah, it's like very, very puppetish. It's like, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Little kids are naturally kind of cute and like
Right. Like you don't need to put
blush
makeup
and
on them.
like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
blush naturally and
Right.
are even if they're super pale like me, there's like color and life to them, and they're cute. The kids are cute. They don't need to be slathered in.
Dolled up, essentially.
Yeah, dolled up, exactly.
Yeah, they literally already look like dolls. You don't have
Yeah.
to doll them up further. Yeah, that's always like a weird thing to see in like a pageant. It's like supposed to be cute, but it's like not.
Yeah.
It's not.
And we still have the photos, like the professional photos that were taken, and I look so deeply uncomfortable in all of them. My mom had to go pick them out, and she's like, I like laughed when I saw them because you're posing because they told you to pose in these like specific things,
Right.
but you're smiling because you're supposed to, but she's like, but you just look like there's someone off camera like pointing a fucking gun at you to be like, there, do this. And she's like, that's my baby.
I mean, to be fair, that's probably most kids that have to be put in those situations. Like, yes, there's always a few that like enjoy and love being, performers and shit like that. But probably most kids were probably forced into this shit because their parents want them to be social and this is how you make friends. And now you got to dance. And you're like, I don't even like tap dancing.
Yeah, I forget how we even picked tap or how we ended up at it. It's not like my mom was like or dad was like, some lost tap dancer who was like, we're going to turn her into a hoofer, like I think it was just picked because it's a little easier than ballet, and less like harsh. And again, also I was like tall for a kid,
right?
And I don't think that would have precluded me from ballet, but I think it would have like made it harder somehow. I don't remember.
Yeah, now I'm thinking about it, like how did Charlotte land on tap? As far, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I feel like that's the only thing I can think of is like she was walking in New York and saw like like probably somebody had it like stapled to a fucking telephone pole and she was like, fuck it, I'm gonna like or like one of those like like random bulletin boards that you see in New York that just has a bunch of flyers on it. That's the only way, because there's no way tap is in a wasp's wheelhouse. Like that's not. Maybe growing up as a kid, you know what I'm saying? But and that's about it. But like not as an adult. I feel like it had to be random, something random.
Yeah, that certainly was for me. But that's sort of the beginning and end of Charlotte there. I guess we can move on to Miranda, because again, her story is kind of brief. I do think it's funny and I like it. It does sort of tie into Carrie's, which we'll get to that stuff a little later. But I like she's getting a sonogram done, or that's sonogram?
Yes.
Ultrasound? Yeah, sonogram.
Ultrasound. Wait, aren't they something? Ultrasound, sonogram? No.
I have done so much medical shit the past like 3 years. You think I'd fucking know by this point? And I just realized I don't. I think it's a sonogram. I think ultrasound, go in. Sonogram, you stay outside.
Okay, I'll take it. Somebody will correct this.
Someone correct me in the comments.
If it's wrong, that might be actually right.
Wrong. Yeah. If it's right, wrong, also tell us.
Yeah. If it's right, congratulate us or say nothing.
Or be cool and just be cool about it.
Just be cool.
But it's they're looking and the doctor's all nice and friendly and excited, and she's like, do you want to know the sex? And Miranda says sure, and she's like, it's a boy. And the doctor's like, are you? It's a boy. And Miranda's like almost like 1,000-yard stare.
Well, to be fair, that doctor was a little bit off-putting for me. She was way too excited. It's like, bitch, this is not your baby. Why are you so happy right now? Like,
I mean,
take it down.
Truth. So
take it down.
As I may have mentioned, my mom is going through some medical stuff, and we have had there was one shipper ass nurse that I was like, I'm gonna need you to bring it down from the fucking 15 that you're at to at least an 8. Jesus Christ.
Like here's I understand you gotta be like, it's bedside manner, you gotta be a little bit cheerful, right? But like, don't come out like you're about to bring out Blue's Clues. Like, take it easy. Take it down. Like you're not talking to 5-year-olds here. We're 2 adults. You don't have to be that smiley. Hands
down, the funniest part, one of the funnier moments with that nurse, and I know she means no ill will, but my brother and I got in there to like check in for the day, and she was like, we were just talking to your mom earlier, and she talked about having 5 kids, da, da, da. And I just went, we're the only 2. That's the information's wrong. Because I think she was supposed to be like, be excited. she's talking about the
Yeah.
big family she has. So she's like awake and remembering things. I was like, that's not even the right information.
Just like, yep.
And she was like,
Way too
oh, okay. I was like,
hilarious. That's too funny.
My one uncle was like, well, she doesn't know that. I was like, well, maybe she should fucking check before she starts cheering that shit on, huh?
Right.
You ever think of that?
Or just like bring your energy down, just a little bit. Just,
just a little. That's too much.
Like, you're not, like I said, I get if you're working with a bunch of like children and shit like that. That's kind of the energy. I mean, but I don't even know too, because like sometimes I feel like kids don't even want that kind of energy.
Yeah.
Even sometimes kids are like, yo, bitch, please.
Like kids can read when it's like super phony.
Right. Yeah.
If you're like all chipper crazy in their face, they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, this is not for me. This is for you. Stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she did. I mean, to be fair too, it was kind of weird. It was kind of weird because I can't really gauge how Miranda feels about this whole situation, because like she wants to keep the baby, but she doesn't seem excited about it.
Yeah.
But it's like, why are you keeping the baby?
That's kind of what I like noted too. I will say I kind of like this sort of and as they go through her pregnancy, it'll kind of get into the like it's not treated as like this beautiful, magical, perfect thing. It's not super, it's like realistic enough for this show.
Yeah.
About like, it's far from the most comfortable thing. It's not, it's hard on the body. She's tired all the time, and they really play that up as this all goes through.
Yeah.
And I think like, people, I think it's a nice way of showing though that people don't react the way you expect them to everything. Like people expect certain reactions, but you just got to respect that maybe that's not how they're feeling, or that they just don't react that way. Like,
yeah, and that's also true. Yeah, that's also true. I mean, I guess because like, yeah, because that was kind of the theme of the whole thing of the episode. It's like everybody trying to like happiness on it, but also it's like, this is her experience where she wants to feel about it. Let her fucking feel about it.
And I think it's okay that like I think it's okay to show, and I'm glad they show like that she's not there. Like everybody just assumes she's gonna be like super fun. Like Charlotte's like, it's a mine, like shrieking in her face, and she's like, hey, yeah. And it's weird that how much like sometimes you have to put other people at ease with how you act.
Right. Yeah.
Like showing how you actually feel. Like, honestly, with like the cancer diagnosis thing, I felt like when I told people, I had to be like, it's gonna be okay. So the outlook feels good. Don't worry. Like, and I was like trying to manage their emotions.
Yeah, which is exhausting. And you're like, I'm the one going through it. Why am I catering to how you feel about it?
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
And some of that's like self-induced, but some of that is just like the way other people react. And then you're like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. Like I downloaded a bunch of information about like my mom to like a coworker today, and then I was like, kind of edited. I was like, we're figuring things out, and then I was like, but it's okay. And I was like, it's not, but you know what I mean, right? Like,
yeah.
And I like her housekeeper, super punch. The housekeeper's gonna be around a little more in the future, just FYI. I do like Magda. It's such a nice, sweet influence for Miranda. But I like when she's like, oh, boy's a blessing, like, be excited for the baby. And
I know, she's like, be excited. She's like, okay.
It's like, sure.
But here's the thing. But also, though, because I like that scene. It was funny, but I also didn't like it because it's like, okay, bitch, didn't we talk about boundaries like years ago? We talked about this years ago. Like, how you gonna force a smile out of it? She's like, smile for the boy. Smile for the boy. No, bitch, go back to cleaning. How about that? I'm about to pay you for a month. I can rip up this check. What do you want?
Your choice, Magda.
I can rip this check up. I can throw this tea in your face, or you can get the fuck out of my face. Which one do you want to do?
And I do like that when the moment that Miranda finally kind of feels like maternal and happy about it, it was like a private moment, like just herself.
Yes.
Which is, I think the whole point is like, people kind of expect displays of different things publicly and public reactions. Like even you know, victims of crimes, frankly. Like you're supposed to be a certain, or they think you're a certain way, or they think, well, naturally you'd react this way. Like not to get super dark, but the Amanda Knox story I found fascinating. She's, I think, kind of just like an odd person, like to
Yeah.
begin with, and she wasn't super friendly with that poor girl that got murdered. So when like she got home and found out, she wasn't like sobbing and bursting into tears. She was kind of like, whoa, that's fucking crazy.
Right.
And they took that as her being like this guilty temptress, you know.
Yeah, she knew all about it.
And like her, whatever the absolute like fiction the Italian detective pinned on her that took her years to shake off. That documentary is great. It's so
crazy. The story that the Italian government or the Italian police made up for her, like who she, the kind of person that she was insane. I mean, at one point, I think they called her a witch, and then at another point, like they were saying that she was like into satanic rituals, which.
And like she conspired with the guy.
Zero evidence to support any of that. It's like, and they were like calling her a fox, like a slime fox.
Yes, because she was, like they put this bizarro shit on her, and like, and I just was listening to some other like true crime thing, actually with like Keith Morrison from Dateline and stuff, and he was just saying one of the stories that stuck with him was there was a guy who had like an early and like not super high tech like CPAP machine, and like he and his wife basically slept through their poor like oldest daughter being brutally killed, and he was just basically in shock, so he wasn't sobbing like the way you think people would react,
right?
And then they wore him down like for hours and hours and hours of, you know, trying to bang a confession out of him, and they finally did, and he didn't do it. They found DNA later, and, you know, exonerated him, and it's ruined his whole fucking life. But just the notion that like they had their narrative, and they're gonna stick to it, even like in the face of like literal, like there's no DNA evidence that the dad did anything to the daughter. It's literally some other guy who's running around doing other horrible shit, and they're like, no, we decided he didn't react how you would think, so he must be guilty.
That's like the thing. I think a lot of times too, people use like film and television as influence, like how you're supposed to react to certain things. But like everybody is different, and like you said too, like shock is different. For some people, it doesn't even like hit them until like days later what actually happened to them. I mean, like, dude, how many times have people been in like car accidents and like got up and walked away, and then people are like, oh, you weren't injured, and then like all of a sudden they come back later after their body, the adrenaline's gone, and then you find out they have all kinds of injuries. Like that's
or worse, drop dead.
Or worse,
they didn't realize it.
Exactly.
Like, they always say, I've heard read several things now, for some reason it's just come up, where like people very often do not realize they've been stabbed. Like if they get stabbed, it's such a like a bizarro, obviously shocking like a sensation to the body that they just tend to kind of keep going without realizing it. And there's something where like an EMT like checked a person, was like, you were fucking stabbed, and they were like, what? That's
real shit. And honestly, I wouldn't have believed it until I was talking to my squad leader, and when I was in the Marines, he was in a Fallujah, so the big crazy battle, and like they got in this crazy firefight, and he like got back to base and hadn't even realized, like he felt like the warm blood coming down his leg, and he had realized he had gotten shot while they were out. Like they went through the firefight, went through all the after action, like cleaned up the scene and everything, like went back to the base, and he was like dizzy, and he felt the warm blood, and then like that's when the adrenaline came down, and he like passed out because he had gotten shot.
Wow.
So God. So everybody's different. Like you could, I mean now we're not talking about, this was like a matter of like
life and
hour or so, like
hour
like
later,
after hour later. So like, I mean, obviously, you know, if it was anything longer, he probably would have just like passed out or whatever sooner. But like, I was like, dude, so that's what I mean. That's shock is different for everybody. So they can't, and then that's why I was like kind of mad at this episode how they were treating Miranda. It's like, let her. I mean, she's the one with the baby inside of her.
Yeah,
everybody else
exactly.
Like I knew Charlotte was gonna be like, oh my god,
sure.
She wants a baby, but like, and she wasn't really like pushy about it. She was just like, hey, and then at that point, you know, that's when Miranda was just like putting on the face for everybody, you know.
I still stand by Aidan's comment in an episode where he's like, can't she just give the kid to Charlotte if she doesn't want it? Like, and like, yeah, that's not really how that works, but like,
Charlotte would fucking take it.
Charlotte would absolutely snatch that baby.
Fucking take it. She would that would honestly, that would be better for her than like the idea of adopting a baby. Like her and Trey were talking. Yeah, her and Trey were talking about like possibly adopting a baby, but like the idea that like her friend grew a baby inside and gave it to her, she'd have a field day with that.
Yeah, she'd be so happy.
She's stoked. If Miranda came to her and was like,
baby.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, it's way less creepy than all those Twitter things. Have you seen those like psycho looking couples that say don't abort, we'll adopt your baby, and they all look like fucking cult leaders and they're so scary. And also there are almost 400,000, I was gonna say close to 500,000, let's be honest, kids in the foster system that do need adopting. But they aren't little white babies, so I guess they're not worth it, huh? Okay.
What isn't there?
Done.
No. There was like a white couple. They were like famous on YouTube for doing that shit. They like adopted a baby and then like gave her back.
Oh, they rehomed. Yes, they keep calling it rehoming. It's like that's what you do to a dog or a cat. You gave her back. You gave the baby back. Stop playing. That's happened several times. There's multiple families that have done this. I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but there's a different family where they spat out all this stuff and they adopted a little boy, I think from China, and he had some like learning difficulties and stuff, and I think some like emotional trauma from being in like an orphanage, and that's gonna happen. You have to be prepared for that. Yeah, I was literally arguing with somebody about that shit the other day. Like, oh, the foster care system. I'm like, our foster care system is trash, B. That's why like every kid that's been in foster care is fucked up. They all need therapy, like veterans, man. Yeah, seriously. And but then she like basically decided it was too hard to deal with this kid. Yeah. And just like they didn't send him all the way back to China, but just like basically was like, we can't do this. It was like, here you go.
That shouldn't. Here's my thing. If abortion shouldn't be an option, then giving back your adopted child should not be an option. You know what I'm saying? Like you took on this fucking like I said, because like look, if a woman who is pregnant has to take on the responsibility of being pregnant and raising a kid, then if you fucking went through all the paperwork and all the red tape that it costs to, things that it takes to adopt a kid, that's your responsibility. Yeah, you can't give them back.
No backseas on, if women can't have backseas on getting pregnant in the first place, you can't have backseas on fucking taking care of a kid.
I'll vote for that right now. Yeah. Fuck that. You shouldn't be able to get a kid back. That's fucked up. Also, too, that's like really fucked up. Like, I don't give a fuck if the kid is a murderer. That's your kid, baby. Yeah. That's it. If he stabs you in your sleep, that's what you got. You got a little Chucky. That's what you got. Or like you like that girl. Do you ever hear that story about the girl that was pretending to be a kid? She got adopted.
Oh yeah, that's still like up for debate. We don't really know. So there's the fictional movie Orphan where that happened, and it was played by like a child actress. But then it was like it's a 34-year-old, Albanian woman who's just really tiny. Or what, something like that. They very heavily focused on the fact she was Eastern European. I don't really know why. I was like, they're not known
because Eastern Europeans are like, kind of scary to Americans because we don't really know.
They're just Eastern European, whatever. But
we just think that their lives are all harder and that they're more like rougher, so we're scared.
Like they have a harder life. Which, like, hey,
I mean, we're not entirely wrong.
Not entirely wrong, but like also we need to toughen up as a country. Anywho, but yeah, so there's the fictional movie, where they're like, she's a murderous, like ex-sex worker, like 35-year-old, like psycho, and then like I think she like escapes at the end or something like that. Well, of course, with like her going like mommy to the mom and being like, I'm not your fucking mommy, and you're supposed to cheer. And I'm like, this movie is so goddamn weird. But then that happened supposedly in real life, that like they had adopted this girl, I guess, also I think from Eastern Europe, and what do you call it? And then they suddenly claimed that she was like at least 20 instead of being 10
she was like 24 or something like that.
Yeah, and they did like bone density tests that would show like she had the bones of an adult, but like maybe stunted growth or what. But like I think everybody involved is nuts, except maybe the alleged not child. I can't remember all the details now, but it's
Well,
super wild.
if real or fake, what it proves is stop going foreign and get domestic. Okay. There are plenty of kids in this country that need to be adopted. Stop fucking importing kids, you fucking pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Talking all that shit about life and being important. You want to go to another country and get a kid just for what? Family photos? You fucking
Well, it depends. Like, what does the kid look like? Like, does it
Yeah.
fit the aesthetic?
Stop. No, I know. I mean, I know you're playing, but I'm saying like to those people, it's like it shouldn't be about aesthetics. If you want a kid, get a kid.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah, good for
So
Miranda though, having
that's
her own
Miranda
moment.
having her little maternal moment. It's nice.
Oh yeah.
But and then also again, I think it's good. Like we were saying, just to show you don't have to be all like mommy and like kind of give up your personality.
Yeah.
Which they tend to do, and or not in fiction, I should say, as they tend to like drastically change, or people feel like they need to change.
It's also too, man,
to
like
this imagined thing.
It's not like she's still scared, bro. Like this, her life is about to change. Like, she didn't expect this to happen. She didn't see it going this way. And I mean, who does? But it's like she's still trying to figure all this shit out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like give her a break. She ain't gonna be like, who's gonna like if she was just like that crazy excited about it, that would kind of be a red flag for me.
Yeah.
In my brain, but is what it is.
So we move on to Samantha.
Woo-hoo! My girl.
So Samantha's
She's going through it.
Oh,
she's going through it, baby.
So she's having breakfast with Richard, and she sees in page 6 that he was out with some socialite, and she calls the reporter, and she's like, your information's wrong. I know he's only canoodling with one woman, and she like won't say who it is, of course, right. And then hangs up on the reporter, and then she like goes to Richard in the shower, and it's like, were you actually like canoodling with this chick? And he's like, yeah. You want to get in the shower and fuck? And she's like, all right, fine.
Well, sort of. She was like, it kind of
reluctantly.
Yeah, she was like, well, I guess. Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the thing with this whole episode. I mean, I feel bad for Samantha, but I also don't, because it's like, you understand, like a man like this is like technically like a rare commodity in the world. Like all the women are trying to come for this man, and so a man like this is not gonna like just settle down for a woman just because like she's fucking him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and she's fighting the feels for him so hard.
Yeah. Like, I mean, to be fair, he did make it seem like she was the only one. He did like romancing and stuff like that. Like he didn't indicate really, as far as the past episodes, that like this wasn't an exclusive thing.
Yeah.
So he did kind of send some mixed signals.
Yeah. This time he does kind of insist it's not exclusive at all.
Yes.
Like, because I think the next time we really kind of dive into it is they are sorry, they are stomping above me. I don't know if anyone can hear that.
I can definitely hear it. I thought it was your cat. God. I was like, damn, what's he doing? My man's doing
he's snoozing. But anyway, they get to the big party, and they kind of talk about monogamy. He's like, hey, I never said I was a monogamy. He calls monogamy monotony.
Yeah.
Sometimes this show breaks me a little.
That was fantastic. I mean, yeah, that joke wasn't that corny. I mean, he tried to be like, and that was like, but it worked because like he can kind of get away with it because of like who he is.
He's cool, dude.
Probably, not even that he's cool.
He's not that cool though.
No. It's not even that he's cool. It's just that like most women would probably just like be okay with that because of like who he is what I mean. Yeah. They'd be like, oh my god, that's so funny. Oh my god, yeah, monotony. Yeah, you're right.
Do you have like a hotel I can just own?
Right.
And I do love, after that kind of conversation, Samantha goes and talks to the the girls, and she's like, I can't believe I got monogamy. I must have caught it from you people, because she admits she's like never felt this way and never thought about it. And she's like, there's a million.
That's not 100% true though.
Yeah.
Remember the small dick dude. She definitely tried.
Yeah. But she very rarely feels this way.
This is true.
And she's like, there's a million hot dudes at this party, and I don't want to fuck any of them. I just want to fuck Richard. What the hell's going on? That's so crazy to me. And she's all like rattled by it. So she goes back to Richard and like grabs him by the dick and is like, hey, professionally, you like banging all these women looks, really immature. And, that's when they talk about the not being monogamous stuff. And then she's like, fine. And he's like, she says, maybe I am. And he's like, well, I'm not. So then to make herself feel better, she tries to bang the Page 6 reporter, but he like goes soft in the bathroom, which I don't know how you do that with Samantha, but whatever.
He's a fucking weirdo creep, and he
yeah.
Like, and plus also do like, here's how I, as a guy, I can understand how that happened, because like there's like, I guess when you're trying to reach for somebody that you perceive as like above you. Mm-hmm. And then you finally get a chance, you like don't want to fuck it up, and you don't want to look bad or perform bad, and then like all that anxiety gets in you, and like guys, anxiety goes right to our dick. Like that's where it like, you know what I'm saying? Like if we're stressed and all that shit, all the negative energy and all that shit goes right, that's like the first thing that won't work for us, and then it goes into our brain and then the rest of our body.
Yeah.
So that's probably what it was, like the fact that, because like, this whole episode, he was like, when she called him and was like, what is this bullshit article you wrote?
Yeah.
And, the whole time he was like saying really kind of gross things.
It's disgusting. Like I want to like, so definitely something about like being in like her asshole or something.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah. I mean, it's weird though, because like on one hand, I've heard Samantha kind of talk like this with other men, but like, usually she's kind of the one initiated, or they have already had the sex, but it's just like this
scummy guy.
Yeah, like, I don't really know how to say it. Yeah. He's just like, it's kind of a scumbag guy. It's like, you kind of creepy,
bro. But then she comes out of the bathroom and Richard sees her and he's like, hey, so I was like kind of thinking about it, and like I might, and like right at that moment, scumbag Page 6 guy comes out of the bathroom and he was like, he's like, I knew you wouldn't change. See you later. All good. And she's like, no, it doesn't count. He didn't even get his dick hard.
That's that impulse control, man. You can't just like fly off the handle, because like that was kind of a point that not she made, but someone made in the episode. She was Miranda said it to Carrie, and she was like, oh, you went with your feelings. You always go with your feelings, but it's like, well, maybe not in this case, because clearly she was feeling a little bit vengeful and decided to go sleep with the scumbag, or tried to at least.
Yeah.
And it ended up backfiring on her, because like the dude that she wants almost was about to be like, all right, I'll give you what you want. And then, oh, you a hoe? Okay, never mind. Don't worry about it.
Me too. See you on the streets.
We'll just keep it. Yeah, we'll just keep it moving. Like you a hoe, I'm a hoe. Let's do it.
I do feel a little bad for Samantha though. She's definitely like a little crushed by this. It's like, oh,
yeah.
But you're right. The impulse control thing is for real, because Richard was talking to some other like socialite girl at the party, and what do you call it? When she stalks off to like go talk to him again or whatever, she like full on elbows like that socialite when she's walking through the crowd. She's like so mad.
Yeah.
And it's like, vengeance backfires like pretty often.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. It's, what I'm trying to figure out is like, that thing is too, is like, all right, Samantha likes this guy and shit like that, and he did like romance her. He definitely sent some mixed signals, but it's like, is she doing anything to really stand out from all the other women?
Yeah.
Other than being like his PR rep. You know what I'm saying? And that's like business, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't think a guy like that's not going to consider that an asset into a romantic life, you know what I'm saying? Like he's only worried about that as business wise. So yeah, she's an asset in that regard, but like other than just sleeping with him, what is she doing anything that like makes her better than the other women? And I think that like that's something that she has to consider if she's gonna try to like nail this guy down, because this is a guy like think about it. He's rich, he's successful, he's good looking, he's in New York. How many bitches want him? You know what I'm saying? Like all like there's tons of women that are coming at him all day and stuff like that. So when you got a guy who has options thrown at him all day, there's something that has to make you stand out
Mm-hmm.
for you to make him give you the monogamy, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if right now, at least from what they've shown in this episode, if she's doing anything to make herself above all the rest of them. And like beating the bitch up and then fucking the scummy dude. Those two things ain't gonna do it.
Those don't elevate you.
Yeah, that ain't it.
Yeah.
That ain't the way. Which I'm surprised because this is how you know this whole thing is fucking Samantha up, because that's not the kind of person that she is. Like she is that kind of person that can figure these things out and then like execute it and make sure that she's the one that stands out and be like the top bitch. It ain't this episode. She's getting all flustered and this dude fucked her over. Like not fucked her over, but like he fucked her up. Like she don't know which way is up.
Poor Samantha.
All
right. Let's do it. Are you ready?
Yes. Here's the thing. I'm excited. I just want it to be known that I am not like, oh no, they broke it. I fucking couldn't wait for this to happen.
You were happy.
I couldn't wait. I was counting down the episodes. I was like, how long is this dumbass gonna stay with this woman who clearly does not want him?
Yeah. It's so bad. Let's just start at the beginning. So they're at a restaurant having dinner, and Susan Sharon, who we met like way back in season 1, and she had the awful husband.
Yes. Oh, she was the one that had like the really mean husband.
Yeah,
right?
like the like straight up abusive. Yeah. But gets back with him. Super wild. Fun fact: this is not a spoiler for anything in the And Just Like That reboot. She shows up again, and it's really random when she does, but it's like really. I was like, wow.
With the same husband?
No. The husband's not brought up. Like he's not here either. But it's just like funny. I was like, huh. Like that's a character like I've never been particularly attached to, and I don't know who is, but they are, and so they just keep bringing her back. So I'm like, I'll never hate on someone for getting work, but
she does stand out. She does stand out.
Yeah.
I feel like if there's gonna be anybody else that you could bring in from season 1 that people would remember, it's her.
Yeah. So she sees Carrie and she's like, oh my God, what's new? And Carrie's like, just living life. And Charlotte's like, Carrie, you're engaged.
First, let me tell you something. First red flag right there after you're Aidan. Like
literally forgot she was engaged.
Hello, forgot she was engaged while sitting
with
across from her fiance.
I don't know how you do
right in your face, like you know what I'm saying. Now, I'll extend an olive branch here because, and here's what the olive branch I will give. This character and Carrie aren't really friends. Like, the last time we seen this character, it was like an awkward interaction. So, like, clearly she's uncomfortable with this person being around, and like kind of wants to like end the interaction as soon as possible, and like don't want to dive into her life because like that would keep her there a lot longer. Which I've definitely had this interaction with certain people, and I'm like, I'm not gonna tell you shit. Like I'm just gonna keep it very vague. One sentence answers, and to get you out of my face, so I can go back to, keeping your foul energy away from me. So I will give it an olive branch in that regard because, like, if you're just trying to get rid of somebody, you don't want, because, like, of course, right? Miranda says, "Oh, you're engaged," and then the floodgates open. She's like, "Oh, when are you gonna get married?
Yeah,
when wedding, summer wedding. Where are you gonna do it?" Like,
let me see the ring. And she's like, and she's pulling the necklace, so it's closer to my heart this way. And she asks about all the planning, and she's like, "Oh, we haven't really talked about it yet."
Yeah. But to be fair, it's a good thing that character was there because, like, when y'all gonna start talking about that shit?
When are you gonna talk about
it? Like, most people who get engaged, you saw Charlotte when she got engaged. She was planning
an invasion of that.
Oh yeah, like she was all like, as soon as she said yes to the ring, like she went immediately into planning mode, and like, yes, it was like months down the way, but like that's kind of how you plan weddings.
Susan Sharon was not wrong. If you do want to like do like a nice venue, that stuff books up in advance. But people are always like, "Oh, it books like years in advance." And I'm like, to me, like a year or two long engagement, not the end of the world, frankly.
No.
If you want like this specific like location party
Right.
thing, like it's
Yeah.
not the end of the world to like wait to get married.
And
Like,
it's not that weird to be engaged for like a year or two or something like that, especially
yeah,
if you're like guys are waiting on a venue, or if you're like, saving fucking money
yeah,
for the wedding. I mean, that's not unheard of. So that's not weird
yeah.
to me. I
Not
don't know
that
why
weird
these
at
people
all.
think that they have to be like married within 6 months of
Yeah.
being engaged. That doesn't make sense. I mean, unless you can just afford it and
Yeah.
whatever.
That's not a lot of time to plan
No,
a major
hell no.
event.
Hell no.
But then later Carrie's showering and Aidan hops in. Because like people are coming to work on the apartment next door
Yes.
that they bought. He's so damn tall and she's so tiny, and like I feel like no one was getting effectively clean in that shower, but that's really neither here nor there.
Let me tell you something. That's two things I noticed in this episode that I really had a question with. How big are these showers? Because now the rich dude, like Richard having a big shower enough for him and Samantha, they fit in. Makes sense.
Totally.
But Carrie's shower? How the fuck is Aiden's big ass and her fitting in that fucking studio apartment?
Do you remember when he got in the tub with her? Like he drew that bubble bath for her, and and I know she's tiny. She is like a teeny tiny person, but like
but he's also big.
He's like way big.
Yeah, he's like what 6'4" or some shit like that.
Yeah, he's crazy tall.
Yeah,
like, there's no way.
No, there's no way. There's no way he's fitting in there with her.
The like shower head like hits his like chest. Like
right. Seriously.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I was like, I'm really. This is like that, like watching Friends, and they're like, how the fuck do they afford that big ass apartment?
Yeah,
like, come on, man.
But anyway, he's in there. He's like, hey, what do you think about getting married in Hawaii? We could get Maui'd.
I liked it.
Aidan.
I like it.
Sweet baby angel.
I like that joke.
It's cute. It's pretty cute.
And the fact that she didn't laugh at it, now I told her that's another red flag. That was cute as shit.
And he's like, what about Aspen? Get married in the snow? And she's like, she like just totally blows him off. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So then Carrie's out with Miranda, and Miranda's telling her about the, faking the sonogram and being excited. And Carrie's like, I get it. I'm like not that excited about being married. And I did write, I was like, I feel like those are two things you should be excited about. Like,
yeah, that's
it maybe, and again, maybe not presenting the same way as everybody else. That's fine. You do not like
give the olive branch. We'll extend the olive branch.
Emotionally, I get it. Like, you don't have to be like super hyper or crazy or whatever, but like you should at least be like somewhat into the concept.
Yeah, I mean, like she was. I mean, like here's it's
down with the general premise of things.
Right, like it's one thing to be nervous about it, but she was dreading the entire idea of him, like being married, like not just like nervous that she's gonna be a good wife, but just being married to him, like that's kind of a red flag right there.
And she's like, I don't even want to look for a dress, and she's like, I love dressing, and
right, that's a big thing, right? This is a person who loves fashion and like looking good and shit like that. If for nothing else, she should at least be excited to like put on a nice wedding dress. Yeah. And she's not even excited about that. That tells you everything you need to know about what's going on,
Yeah. But then Miranda gets the idea. She's like, what if we go to this terrible bridal shop I've seen, and we can do like shock therapy, and you try on a dress, like a bad dress, and that'll like kind of get you over the maybe mental hump you have about this.
Right. Oh, also I wanted to make a note that the other red flag was like, even though it was Miranda, but like she kind of went along with it. Like, they were basically comparing getting married to like going to the dentist.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah. Like
if you're using that as a gauge to like how you feel about being married. I mean, like I said, I can see you on Miranda's side because he's very. That's just like, I feel like even if she was getting married to the love of her life, that's probably how she would look at it. But like,
like super analytical, like and like but just the idea of like, it's not as bad as you think once you go to the dentist finally, and then it's done and over with. Like, it's such a negative way. Like, that's a terrible way to start like a marriage. Being like, I'm equating this with going to the fucking dentist. Oh, so glad you brought that up. Yeah.
That was weird. So, anyway, they're at they go to like it's like a terrible dress shop for wedding gowns, right? And then they're trying on the dresses. After they mess with that poor
they mess with that poor clerk who was probably like, please, I just want to not do this
Well,
with you.
you know what? She had that just like judgment.
And she was
Like,
judgmental and she thought it might have been a
yeah,
gay wedding. So yeah,
yeah,
screw her.
yeah. She had that just like, already had a sourpuss
Yeah.
face on her when the girls came in. So like, I'm glad they kind of messed with her because I ain't like her. I ain't like her vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're trying on dresses and Carrie just like they're like playful, and then she looks at herself in the mirror in this terrible dress, and she breaks out in hives.
Full blown panic attack, breaks out in a rash. Like
Yes.
they have to rip the dress off her. I'm guessing they maybe had to pay for that because like
Probably not. They probably
maybe not though, and maybe she's like, this is not the first time this has happened, you know. And it was probably a sample dress. So,
yeah.
so
Also, that dress was ugly as fuck. Like the rip probably helped it. That dress was trash.
part of me is like, yeah, like no great loss. Oh well.
Yeah.
They do mention offhand that it's in a dumpster behind like the ice cream place they went later. So I'm like, maybe they did have to buy it. I don't know.
Shit. Yeah, maybe they did. Yeah.
Like,
yeah, maybe
that is a lot of damage to do to even a shitty dress. But
well, that sucks. That's just like as a goof, you have to pay like, cause I mean, you know, that's probably a couple
$100 at least.
Yeah, a couple hundred to a couple thousand, depending on, you know.
Yeah, I hope Miranda was like, "Whoopsies, my bad. I'll take care."
I hope she did. Yeah, I hope she did.
So then they're having brunch, and Carrie like still has the rash, and they're at and like she's like, "I don't want to get married. I love Aidan, but I don't want to get married." And Samantha is of course like, why do we even have to get married? And Charlotte says it's about security, and like, yeah, it used to be more, you know. And there's certainly arguments to be made like for the, you know, pros and cons of it, like, yeah, you get better tax breaks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean that was the whole point of marriage in general. Like that's the whole idea of marriage was it was like a economic contract. It was like, you know what I'm saying, like a father marrying his daughter off to like the village, or if like, you know, if I'm a farmer and I got cows and they need cows, but I need pigs, you marry your daughter off to the pig farmer so that way you can have cows and pigs. It was all economic, it was resource thing. And of course it's been changed throughout the time into more of a love and romance thing, and but you're still, you know, combining resources. That's still the whole point of it. But to be fair, I mean, I don't know if I would combine my resources with Carrie. She seems like she has a lot of debt. I feel like she has a lot of debt.
Oh my god, she's
like thousands of dollars.
She's taking like Olympic dives into the debt. I would never. Yeah, I would never.
She's probably like
finances with
10 or more up in debt.
Yeah. Oh my god, so bad. But when Charlotte says security, Carrie's like, I feel secure now. And it's like, what do you think? She's like wondering what she thinks would change with marriage to Aidan. And Miranda rightly asks her, why, if you're this like doubtful, why did you ever say yes if you felt this way? And Carrie's like, I love him. And when a guy gets down on one knee and gives you a ring, you say yes. And it's like, you don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, you can really, I mean, but here's, okay. Because I agree and disagree.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
because
I think I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Because here's the thing, like, yes, if a guy truly loves you and you truly love him, and if you say no and you explain to him why you're not ready for that yet, hopefully you would want him to understand and then, you know, and be okay with it ultimately. However, most people, if I'm getting down on, not me, but I mean most men or people who asking a woman to marry, no matter the explanation, you saying no is probably gonna put all kinds of doubts about the entire relationship in their head. You know what I'm saying? Because like if they're thinking, because here's the thing, what it tells them is like, we're not on the same page. If a guy is ready to propose to you and wants to marry you and you say no, then he has to question everything that's led up to that moment of him even going to get the ring.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the double-edged sword, because I mean, look at it, even in the conversation in this episode, like she kind of came to him later and said, she needs time and, you know, to process it all, and she's not ready to get married, and it's still changed things.
Yeah.
You know,
because she's and I do think it's interesting too that Samantha's like, well, if you know, said yes and you do get married, but you don't feel it later, you can always get divorced. And Carrie's like, well, I can't do that if I only mean yes for the foreseeable future, which I feel bad about her saying in front of Charlotte. But I mean that was it's different circumstances.
But the thing is, when Charlotte said yes, she didn't. It wasn't. She didn't really have any doubt. She wanted.
That's true. She had no doubts.
She's ready to dive in. So I don't think that would be offensive to Charlotte. And also, I got to give Carrie credit for even saying that, making that point. It's like, I'm not going to say yes. Marry somebody just to basically say, it's good for now. At least she had enough respect for Aidan to not do that.
Yeah, which is just, talk about a low bar.
You know what I mean? The bar says so low for her. Like,
bar's on the floor for her.
These little small, like, the least she could do things that she's doing is like good enough for me.
and then she's at home and like tending to the rash and writing, and she's pondering like the life targets we're kind of all expected to hit, marriage, babies, home. What if we're not actually into those things? Do we really want them, or are we programmed? And it's definitely a programming thing of society. And economically now, there in some cases there's no way you can do all those milestones, even if you wanted to. And so I think it's kind of shifting in hopefully like a way that's making people feel okay. I know there's a lot of like loneliness and stuff like that, and that sucks. But like this sort of pressure to like hit,
well, I mean, just the cost, like you were saying, like economically, like the cost of being in the relationship, 2 getting married, and then 3 having children. Like, bro, that's like you have to get like a 3rd and 4th job to make those things happen now. You know what I mean? And even if you're, it's like, like to even like maybe won't even get married, I feel like you got to be making like 6 figures a year to like be comfortable. And then like you start having kids, now you got to make like at least 7 figures or you're fucked.
And also like, but there was a pressure to like just do that stuff and not question it. And if you weren't doing those things, then you were a weirdo or outlier. And now people are able to kind of build lives where like either you have a partner or you don't, you have kids or you don't. The home ownership thing kind of sucks because it seems like it would be good, but there's no sin in renting forever either. And there's 2 schools of thought on the financial impact of that, but we won't get into that. But just this, because I think I used to get upset about like, I hadn't done some things by certain ages. Was I supposed to? And really, I've said this before, either on here or elsewhere, these timelines are arbitrary and made up. There is no real reason you have to do any of these things unless you want to. And that's kind of the cool thing.
They're made up, but they're also from a time when like these timelines were
achievable.
Right. Thank you. That's the word I was there. Like you could have actually been married and had kids and had your first house by the time you were 30, 35, whatever. But like, it's just life ain't really set up for that to really happen now. Like, and if you do, like, yes, if you do want those things, you have to like work hard as fuck to get them. And like, of course, the relationships and stuff like that already work. But I mean, like, just to achieve, like I said, being married, having a house, having children, like you have to work super hard to even get to those things. So you can have the desire all day, but that doesn't mean you can afford it.
Yeah, and that's it. And exactly. It's just not as achievable as it used to be. Frankly, mostly financially. There's some social, we are a bit more isolated, like I said, so people are a little lonelier, and it's hard. It is, despite the social media of it all, it is harder to connect in a lot of ways.
It's lonelier, and also with the internet, we've also, people think that they have more options than they have. Because of all this connection that we do have with other people. People think they could just find like the perfect human being that's going to just come in and it's going to be a fairy tale, but it's
like you swipe through stats on a an app and things like that, and we've all done it. We're like, oh well, that's not one thing I like. Although, telling you right now, any dudes who are moderate or their political views are other, just say you're a fucking conservative and get it over with. Stop fucking lying to me. If you're libertarian, fuck right the fuck off.
Shout out Jesse. My dude. That was, sorry guys, that was just for us. That was
an inside joke.
That was just for us. Sorry, we didn't mean to exclude you guys. Sometimes
You get to do a joke for yourself for the room, and that was a joke for the room.
That was just for us.
But yeah, it's just, overall being able to live like for yourself and do things you only want to do, pros and cons, but like generally if it is making you happy and you're not hurting anyone else in the process,
try it.
It's all good. Like, mind your own fucking business sometimes.
Yeah.
Government. Anyway, Carrie is flipping out so hard. She's like, "What if I started smoking again?"
I know, right? She ran to the fucking that kiosk or whatever.
Yeah, the like newsstand or whatever.
Yeah, newsstand. Thank you. I said kiosk. I mean, I guess it's technically.
It technically is.
Technically, but yeah, because this was like right after they had the conversation of like, her saying that she wanted a break or not. Yeah, but
this is right before, because she buys the bridal magazines and starts trying to decide what kind of bride she is, and that's right when Aidan is punching through a literal metaphor of the wall between the two apartments they have, because they
so clever,
so clever, so subtle. I wonder what this wall could mean, and he only makes a tiny crack in the wall. He doesn't even break all the way through. And so then she runs over and is like begging him to stop, and again she's like doubled over, like on the floor, like, I don't want to get.
She can't even breathe.
She can barely breathe, and like because at first he's like, "Is it the wall? I told you that'd be happening today," and she's like, "It's the marriage."
And they didn't handle it pretty cool, honestly. He made a little joke, tried to make her feel a little bit more comfortable, and was like, "Yeah, if you need a little time, then we'll do that. That's fine."
Yeah, because he's like, "You needed like 6 months, 9 months," and he's like, "End of the year," and she goes, "Which year?" And I was like, "Good Lord, lady, fuck."
Yeesh. Like,
and I did.
Yeah, like, dude, he's like knocking down. Like, he bought an apartment for you.
Yeah, he's getting you an in-unit washer dryer.
Right.
You stay married to his ass.
Yeah.
No, don't do it. That's mean to do to him. But I did make the note. I was like, I'll tell you why you don't want to marry his ass, because you're secretly still hung up on Big.
Well, absolutely.
You know it. I know it. The American people know it.
I mean, that's what she thinks she deserves, and you know what? To be fair, she fucking does. They're both two awful human beings, and you know what? Like any old rom-com, they deserve to be together. Because it's always like, that's why rom-com is like, if you really look back on every single one of them, they're like the two worst people in the world, and then they get together. We're like, oh, that's love. It's like, no, that's just.
I do not care. Like The Wedding Planner.
Yeah.
I don't care for it for a lot of reasons. Well, one, I remember being very alarmed when I was young, and people saying like, "Why didn't she just marry the Italian guy from like her childhood?" And I was like, "But she doesn't love him." And someone's like, "Yeah, but he likes her, so like getting married is good." I was like, "That's fucked up. Like that's not a good outlook." And I was like 14 or whatever. And then I also was like, it's not good though that like she didn't steal him or anything exactly, but he's not the greatest if he's like basically half stepping out on the woman he was gonna marry with, on Veronica Vaughn from Billy Madison. Yeah. Oh, that Veronica Vaughn.
Oh, that Veronica. I got it on. You know what I'm saying?
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
But you can imagine what it'd be like if you did.
R.I.P. to the god.
So yeah, I just didn't care. I like that. Yeah, but yeah, usually it's like the two, like, or How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Sorry, they're all Matthew McConaughey. I do not care for Matthew McConaughey as a romantic lead in the slightest. But that's another one where they're so awful to each other. Like, I know that's part of the joke, but like, also,
no, but they're also just awful human beings in general.
Yeah.
Like, not even just like to each other. Like,
that they even thought what they were doing was a good idea. Like,
well, they also too, like, they got their friends involved in it, like got their family involved in it. Like, it's too insane. Yeah, it's insane. Anywho,
so they take their break.
Yes,
they get to the black and white ball, and they all they both look really hot, I have to say. Good on them.
But and it's like, again, you know, Sex in the City, this episode being so clever. They like dressed them in, like, her dress is like a white, you know, gown that basically looks like right. Thank you. It was a wedding dress. I've seen women in photos with that dress on at a wedding. Like, that was a wedding dress. Like, and that's what was like freaking me out. I was like, bitch, you are already in a wedding dress. Like, how are you like? Anyway, get away. Sorry.
Oh no, but that's the whole point is they get out of the
and he's
party,
in a tux and shit like that. Yeah.
And he's like, why don't we get married tonight? We'll like hop a plane to Vegas and it'll just be done with. Also, sorry, Aidan, not a great approach though to be like.
Yeah, I was gonna say because he was like low-key kind of having a fit at the end of the episode. I wasn't a fan of, but you know.
The whole idea of like getting it over and done with is like that's not a good way to start a marriage.
Yeah, I mean, she's already freaking out about being with you in general, and like then you kind of like, I'm gonna try to give him, like I said, I'm gonna send the olive branch here. I can see him maybe being this casual about it to like make her not feel so like nervous and worried and stressed about it, but also not so romantic.
Yeah. It's sort of sucking the romance out of it at the same time. And he's like, you're just scared. Yeah, I know we talked about it, but you talked, I only listened. And I thought, I looked at you tonight, I thought I love you. And he's like, what's gonna change with time if we love each other? And she's like, I'm not ready. He's like, I am. And they're going back and forth. And he's like, I want you to be my wife, not my girlfriend. I know it's a stupid piece of paper, but I want to lock you down and I want to let the world know that you're mine. And she's like, who else's would I be? And I almost screamed big at the screen.
Yeah, because when she's asked that question, he looked at her like, who the fuck
do you think I'm talking
maybe
about?
The guy you let come to my fucking cabin, get drunk and sleep on my fucking couch. How about that? Or the guy you left my cabin to go have a lunch with.
Yeah.
Or the guy you insist that you have to be friends with. That fucking guy.
Maybe, just maybe. And she's like, oh, you still don't trust me. And it's always jarring when he swears to me for some reason. He goes, you don't even wear that ring on your fucking finger. And I was like, oh,
I mean, great point.
It's a good point. Because I'm sorry.
Ain't no woman who's engaged who's happy they can't wait to be married. They're putting that shit on their ring or finger and they're showing that shit out to everybody. They gonna make sure everybody knows that they are engaged. Ain't nobody putting that shit on their fucking on no chain around their neck unless like she's like going to the gym to work out. And I ain't doing that.
No, and I always joke like I don't wear a lot of like rings or whatever, because I'm kind of like dumb. I talk with my hands. I put like hands on and I don't like pay attention.
Yeah.
And so I always joke, I'm like, I would be worried if I got like an engagement ring, especially if it was one with like a raised diamond. But I was like, ideally, the future feller who would be getting me said ring would like know that, or we would have discussed that, and I'd have like some kind of setting that's like, secure,
right,
and or whatever, and then I would be hyper aware of my hand nonstop. I'd be like, gotta keep it safe. Like,
he's like, hand in the pocket, don't use it.
Hand in the pocket, or like just like clutching my hand like to my chest and being like, no, you mustn't touch my left hand. It is not cursed, it is actually blessed, but I am worried about the blessing falling off, so don't touch it.
Right.
But she's like, I can't marry you to make you trust me. And he's like, if you don't want to marry me now, you never will. And she's like, that's not true. It is.
Also, when he said that, she hesitated. She was like, that's not true.
She's like, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not how she did it,
but basically, I was like, because he said like it was like two things he said. Like the first time she said like he said that, she kind of just shook her head. And then the second time she just like hesitated and then kind of shook her head and was like, that's not true. But it's like clearly it is, because like come on, baby, like it is. And that's what I'm saying. And I think that's part of why the reason why it's like weird, because I know that she wanted to take a break and stuff like that, because like I think she does love him, but I don't think she's in love with him, because like he's obviously a good dude. He treats her well. He makes her somewhat happy. He's like doing all this stuff for him, like buying her apartments and extending them and shit like that. And like in her mind, I think she wants to want him in that way because of all of it, because he's doing all the right moves, but like she's just a fucking dumb bitch.
She just doesn't feel that way, and that wouldn't be a problem if she didn't treat him the way she's treated him.
That's true. That's also because like that's the thing is too, like I never really, especially through this season, I never really saw them as being a couple, because they're just so different. Like that's they're just not, they weren't never really right for each other in the first place. But the way she treats him, that's what makes me upset about like the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like it's really a lot of what she does is like so crazy disrespectful.
She just treats him as, I mean, literally, for no better way of saying it, as an option. She's just like,
Yeah.
I got him. I don't really need to work to do anything else for him. And unfortunately, she's not entirely wrong, because I mean, look how much this guy's given to her since they've
Yeah.
been back together.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And I was gonna say, I think this is like where some people kind of like don't love Aidan as a boyfriend character because he does try to push her so hard into the marriage thing.
That's fair. That's fair.
And but I think, you know, and sort of in fairness to him, I think he thinks this will solve the problem.
Yeah.
That they do love each other, and it is like, but I think people take issue with the whole like lock her down, you know, language, which
Sure.
but I did wonder, I just thinking about it before we watched the episode, stuff like that, I kind of kept wondering, I was like, why does he want to lock her down so badly? Like, what is it about her to him that he's like, I have got to have this woman in my life forever and be legally bound to her, when I just don't get it. Like, get in some ways his attraction to her, again, given how she's treated him this entire time. She cheated on him. She's bringing the affair partner to his cabin. Like, it's just, it doesn't make a ton of sense. And I guess, you know, love is blind and stupid and makes you do goofy things. But I mean, he's about to like.
I guess it's the idea too, because I think this is my theory. I feel if you, like, for him, right? You know, they broke up. She forced her way basically back into his life, and he doesn't want to feel like he made a mistake letting her back in, you know, falling in love with her again and shit like that. Because I mean, at the end of the day, he was doing the right thing, staying away from her and shoving her away, and then he let her back in. If that decision was the wrong decision, that's gonna make him, you know, that's gonna make him question a lot of things about his life, about the career choices, about I mean, all kinds of shit.
You don't want to admit to yourself that you made a big mistake,
terrible choice,
you know? A terrible choice. Yeah, that's a good answer to that question, because it's sort of like the sunk cost thing. It's like, I put so much time and effort into her.
It can't be for nothing.
And into this relationship, it can't be for nothing. She loves me. I know she does. And this is the next logical thing we should do, and it will be a problem solving thing. And obviously, it's not. You know, that's not the solution to the problem in the slightest.
Yeah, because she a dumb bitch.
and she, you know, but yeah, I think it is like they don't deserve each other. You know, Aidan deserves someone more on Aidan's wavelength, not just with marriage, but just I think with a lot of things.
Just in general, yeah. Just in
general.
Yeah.
And she deserves big.
I'll be fucking goes to the bartender that he was making her jello with. I fucking hope he does. I mean, I don't know if that happens, but I hope he fucking does. That would be the best. If he, like, they break up and she sees him like 6 months later and they're just hand in hand, like, go fuck yourself. So then
he says, I'm gonna go sleep in the other apartment for the night. And he's like, I can't believe I'm back here again. Yeah, and I think that backs up your theory that, like, I can't believe I've made this same mistake twice, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You broke my heart twice.
Yeah. Like, even idiot. And she did not, obviously she didn't cheat this time.
No.
At least not, you know, fucking big, but like basically she did, let's be real. But you know,
emotionally she did.
She cheated, for sure. And he let it happen again.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So at home, Carrie's alone in bed, and you know, she tiptoes over to the other apartment and he's lying there awake. And then I do like this ending of this episode, because she says that's the only night we would ever spend on the other side of the wall. The next day, Aidan moved out. It's such a quiet end to that relationship when you think it would be bigger or more, not explosive exactly, because that's not like Aidan's like MO. He's not like a yeller like big guy that way, but like you think the breakup would be sort of more outwardly dramatic. But it's very inwardly dramatic, which I like.
Well, because also I think that's the way it should be done, because I mean that's I mean, you know, a blowout drag out fight wouldn't make sense for her and him, and also too I think it's going to affect her a lot differently than because it was like a knockdown drag out fight, she could blow it off as it was like, you know, what she could make some other story in here to like get over it quickly, but like the fact that it was just like this quiet thing and he just left her life, that's gonna make her think about it for a while.
Yeah.
It's gonna make her be like, oh, am I fucking stupid? Yes, you are. Also, he's fucking stupid. How the fuck you gonna buy those apartments and then you move out? I'll be like, you get out, bitch. You get out.
Well, that actually becomes a bit of a plot point. Not a long one, but the next episode, it kind of comes into play.
Let's talk about we won't talk about it, though.
Yeah, I don't want to. No spoilers.
I was just mad about that. I was just mad about that because he was like, oh, the next day he moved out. I was like, I'm sorry, he moved out because I'm pretty sure he is indeed the owner of these apartments now. I don't know how apartments.
Yeah, work, yeah. Like,
he bought them, right? He bought the.
Yeah, like, he like co-owns both with her or something like that. Like so like he convinces her to buy both so that they can you renovate it into one, I think is the idea.
But he bought them both, right? Because I don't think she's financially stable enough to pay.
Yeah, and like I said, that comes into play.
Okay, well then we'll end it here because I don't want to. So tell the people where they can find us, Elizabeth.
Well, they can find us most easily on Instagram at Show Me What Podcast, and I'll take you to our Twitter, our Facebook, our YouTube, and beyond. And then you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Elizabeth Movies. Where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me on all social media at Christopher T. Mack.
And don't forget Arlo Australia candles. As always.
Yeah, Arlo Australia, baby. Coming back strong.
Doing great. We love them.
Yes.
And that's it for us this week.
Yay. Come back next week.
Come back next time. You hear?